This podcast is the first part of an ongoing series we will be doing on beginners in Aikido training.
Welcome to the Aiki Dojo Podcast. I am David Ito, Chief Instructor of the Aikido Center of Los Angeles. And with me is
Ken Watanabe from the Aikido Center of Los Angeles.
And Bill D'Angelo, also from the Aikido Center of Los Angeles. So Sensei, our topic for today is how to be a successful beginner.
I don't even know if I know how to be a successful beginner. And that's because times change. So when Watanabe Shihan and I started, that was 35, 36, 37 years ago.
1988.
That's a generation ago.
So how is it different, Sensei?
Well, I mean, people are more reward focused. You know, I get people asking me questions more about rank these days. People join our group from other organizations. You know, their dojo joins our organization, and then the first thing they want to know about is, so how do I get Shihan? How do I get Rokudan?
How does my rank transfer?
How does my rank transfer? Am I still 6th Q or, you know, whatever it is? And you're kind of like, who cares?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because we weren't really allowed to talk about rank.
Nope, we were not.
Well, we weren't allowed to. We would be penalized.
I mean, traditionally, it was frowned upon in traditional martial arts to talk about rank. That was the wrong attitude to have as a student.
And there also was only one way to get good in Aikido when we were students.
Yes, and that was to listen to the teacher, follow the instruction, and practice.
Every day.
Every day, or at least regularly, maybe 4 times a week minimum.
I don't know, 4 times still seemed like there were too many gaps in your training.
I think so too. I mean, you practiced every day almost.
No, I didn't. You practice every day.
I practiced every day.
I was a 3 to 5 day a week person, and I was a disappointment.
I can't say disappointment. I mean, but I practiced every day because I did not want to miss anything.
Yeah, so I mean, to be successful as a beginner, you have to create this desire that you really want to learn this thing. If you only casually learn or casually want to do this, it'll be hard.
That's true. But I do have a question, like by successful, how do we define a successful beginner? Is it somebody who is gained skill or somebody who just doesn't quit?
I don't know, because a successful beginner is a person who moves through the ranks at a, I don't know, competent but expeditious rate. And then by the time they make black belt, they're pretty solid Aikidoist.
Yes.
You know, we get people that came in a couple weeks ago. We had this brown belt show up. He could barely roll.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and you're like, this guy has trouble rolling backwards at brown belt. That's a Gokyu 5th Q problem.
Yeah, that's a beginner problem. But how long did it take for you to reach Shodan rank?
3.5 years.
3.5 years, and I think I took maybe a little bit more than 2 years.
2 years.
But that's practicing every day.
No, but that was kind of the dojo average. There were other people that got theirs in 2.5, 3 years. Everyone was on that same 3-year trajectory.
Yeah, and I think that 2 years is about the average in Japan. If you practice regularly, you get Shodan in 2 years. Of course, Shodan is you just starting to learn the art. You know, that's the first step to becoming an actual student.
Yeah, and Fury Sensei didn't really like calculate hours. He went by sight.
Yeah, he went by sight and he assessed you with his experience and expertise.
So, I mean, to be a successful beginner, you first have to have the desire to get good and be successful in Aikido. That's the first one.
That's the first one, yes.
But you also have to you have to realize that the Aikido is for the long haul.
Yes.
If you think I'm gonna jump in there, get some technique, and then bail, it won't work.
Like Aikido, most of these traditional martial arts, it has to marinate into you. It can't be like the barbecue sauce you splatter on top of your ribs. It's gotta, it's like you're like a tri-tip in a smoker. The smoke has to get into you, and then you get this beautiful piece of meat. Whereas you just like cook it and put some barbecue sauce on it, people are like, an expert would be like, this is wrong. But the layman would be like, oh, this is fine.
The question I was going to ask Sensei is, what has stayed the same for beginners that you see when both of you started versus today? You mentioned there's people are more like rank or award or recognition focused, but what do you think has stayed the same?
Aikido's still hard.
Sorry. Oh my God. Like, I think about that a lot. Like, throughout history, you have these really sophisticated crafts or arts, and they're all very, very difficult. They all stay equally sophisticated, really hard to learn, and for generations, people have somehow learned them.
Yeah, but I guess the things that stay the same is like it's hard. It requires you to manage your ego, right? So you still got to put the work in, and there's still a drop off right around third kyu and third dan. So it's like those things stay the same. Because it's hard for a beginner to be successful. They have to want it, right? So okay, let's just say we say every beginner from this point in the conversation wants it. Okay, so then they got to learn Aikido, and to learn Aikido, you got to let go of your ego, because how did they learn Japanese traditional arts in the old days?
You just do repetition.
Watch and copy.
Yeah, watch and copy, train your eye. Hopefully the teacher is competent. I guess the first thing to be a successful beginner is you have to find a good teacher.
But how do you know what a good teacher is?
I think about this sometimes, and it's almost like looking for a decent restaurant. If you're just hungry, you just eat anything. But if you're discerning, and I guess this is something that has to be developed, or maybe some people have it, is like taste, a sense of taste. What's another word for taste? It's like a sensibility. But
the thing is that you can't start and then stop and then go find a different one because you realize through your taste and sensibility that this person is not very good. You're not supposed to. Maybe today you can, but in the old days you were not supposed to do that.
No, you're not supposed to change teachers.
You gambled, and then the teacher you signed up with, that person ended up being not very good. That's the breaks.
Yeah, that's the breaks. You cannot change to another teacher, and another teacher will not accept you.
Yeah.
So I gotta say, all of us on this podcast are super duper lucky that we found our teacher.
But other people, we talked about this before in other podcasts, a crappy teacher can make a good student. But the thing is that the student has to surpass the teacher. So if the teacher is not very good, the student surpasses them quickly, and then they might be stranded.
Yes.
And then they can never get any good because there's no place to go within your organization to improve your skill.
Yes.
That's the hard part. So if the teacher doesn't have the mindset to improve themselves, then you're going to get stranded because all the teacher talks about is kicking people in the nuts. So, we think about this idea that for a student to be successful, they have to let go of their ego. And part of that ego is to not judge. The teacher teaches you the way they teach you, good, bad, right, or wrong. You can't judge. You just have to say, hi.
Yeah. You say hi, and then you try your best to struggle through it. And then, in my experience, even when as a beginner, even when I did the technique correctly, still felt wrong. it didn't feel well. It didn't feel good.
Why did you feel that way, Ken?
Well, when I think back, because I was doing a technique wrong, even though I tried to do it as correctly as possible. So, my timing is off, used too much strength, my positioning is off. In my mind, I was doing the best I could. But my best was not textbook correct.
But did you know or feel it, that it was incorrect?
Yeah, you could feel it because I had to use too much power, or for any other reason, it didn't feel right.
Yeah, and a broken clock is right twice a day, right? But a broken clock is right twice a day, but a good student is right all the time, or more often than not. So the technique feels right, but the technique could feel right and still be wrong. It just feels right for your level, but for the teacher's level or the level above you, it could be wrong.
And also, it could be ukemi driven. Maybe you have the kind of uke that will just fall for anything you do, and they'll just fall, like a dishonest uke.
No, we'll say it's not. It's probably not nice to say dishonest. A person who's very earnest and wanting to help will fall for you. I was at this acupuncture seminar over this weekend, and it was the person needled my face and it hurt. And then she said, "How was that?" And I said, "Oh, it's fine." She go, "Oh, see, I never hurt anybody." And then they walked away. She walked away, and then one of the students go, "Did it really hurt? Not hurt?" And I said, "No, it hurt." They go, "Why don't you say something?" You go, "Just trying to be nice." So that just trying to be nice, you fall down for the person. The problem is that they don't know you're trying to be nice, and then they go, "Oh, look at me."
Yeah.
And then the whole thing starts to get into this incestuous falling down for me type thing.
You become delusioned.
Yeah, you're what's the saying? You're the delusions of grandeur.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're in awe over how great you become. But I mean, in Greek martial arts, do they talk about teachers and beginners and all that type of stuff?
I think in the classical period, there was I wouldn't say it was like hagiography, but teachers were very important. It's very similar. You have to have a good teacher. I think the difference was most Greek martial arts, whether it's like traditional wrestling or boxing, it was heavily competition focused. So you worked toward the monthly or the quarterly competition or the every 4-year festival or Olympics. So there was people, I think, maybe had a slightly different mindset. I think the one that's closest to Aikido, though, were the Spartans, because they looked down at competition. They didn't think it was the right way to train. Obviously, from their mindset, it was train. Maybe you never fight. But if you fight, you've already trained well. But there wasn't this sense of because in the ancient Greek world, if you were a wrestler or a boxer, pankration, if you won, lifetime income, lifetime food, lifetime presence. So imagine if you're a multiple winner, for them, you're like a god. I think that's very different than traditional Japanese martial arts.
Well, yeah, that's very modern martial arts / sports.
It feels very contemporary in a way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That somehow people have fallen in love with trophies and that was the funny thing in the 80s. Remember in the 80s, every Korean martial artist was a grand champion, world champion. Everywhere you went, oh, the world champion, 1960. They go, oh, and every person you meet is a world champion, even though there's how many world championships do they have?
I had a question for both of you. I was thinking about you were talking about the difference between beginners 35 years ago and beginners today. I mean, I know the three of us pretty much read all the time, but a lot of people who are younger are getting more of their interface through TikTok and video, short video. Do you think that if you consume most of your information in life in a short video, is your eye getting better, or could it get better?
Well, that's what they say, that the average attention span in 1950 was 30 seconds.
Was
the average
7?
4.
4 seconds.
4 seconds.
4 seconds now?
1970, right? Or 1970 or 1990, the average was 15 seconds.
Wow.
And today it's 4
not good.
seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where like you got to do some flashy throw to catch their eye to make them watch that video. And then, you have something.
Wow.
See, like most podcasts they don't watch very long, except for it's like Joe Rogan, who's like 2-3 hours of podcasting. Right. You're eating it up, popcorn, writing down stuff. Oh yes, ivermectin, but like most people don't stay the course on a video or podcast long enough.
So it doesn't look like it has a positive training effect, because both of you were talking about how traditional martial arts training depends very much on your ability to see. Whereas I think a lot of students today that start, they either want a verbal explanation or they're going to ask for it. They're going to be like, I don't understand why it works.
Well, that's the modern person. You're going to tell them, you can explain quantum physics to them,
No.
and then they walk away and go, I got quantum physics.
Right.
But they do. They walk away and they go, yeah, I got quantum physics. I understand nonviolence now. I don't need Aikido technique. No, you intellectualized it. And that's why the second step that you really have to have it's about ego.
Yeah.
Because you have to watch the teacher without judgment. Why would you do that? Oh my God. If you just got a trowel, it's better than your thumb. No, this is the way you learn it. Oh, my teacher's so dumb. He you're judging. And that's all your ego. You have to look and go, hi.
Yeah, I mean, even me, like when I was a beginner, I always judged the technique. I was like, why are we doing this? Like there's several techniques that we do, like uchimawari, kokyunage, sotomawari, all these, like the very first tenkang, kokyuho. I was like, I would never do this in a fight. But then later I realized the value of doing these so-called, I guess we call them keystone techniques, these base skills that you can apply to multiple techniques. I was like, why are we doing this? So I had to suppress my ego and just
But Ken, do people
accept it.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
Sorry.
Do people today stay long enough usually to get any of that realization?
No.
Yeah, I want to say no as well.
Well, maybe not at our dojo, maybe in other people's dojo, but they're also, remember Om Shinrikyo?
Yes.
they sarin gas the Japanese subway or something, or Shinkansen.
Yeah.
All the members were doctors, lawyers, engineers, professional people, right? So that these people, you would think they were smart enough to know that this is a cult,
Right.
right? And so today, when the person doesn't, it's not that they really don't believe, but it's just too, everything is casual. If the average attention span's 4 seconds.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, and then I don't tell you in the first 2 seconds. I'm still in setup mode. So what you want to do is, right? So like that ego of looking at, like if I ask you, how often did you judge the technique? Like every time?
Every time. I was like, why are we doing this one? No, I would not say why. I guess I would say why. Like, why are we doing this?
I never judged the technique. I did not have enough time, and the person was smashing me with it, so I never stopped and went, is this a thing? Right? I don't know. They're cranking on my elbow, and I was like, oh, damn, this is harsh.
Oh, during practice, it was completely different. I was like, oh, yeah, this works. But when you see Sensei demonstrating, like, some of these techniques, I'm like, when would I ever use this?
No, I don't think I ever had that.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's that thing, is that your ego prevents you from seeing.
Yeah.
You have to be able to see, oh, I noticed that the person did this. Like you're supposed to get this really strong, I don't know, that kuki wo yomeru, the be able to read the air.
Yes.
Right? So that means to be able to read the air is like you're super aware. And like we were at this party and my daughter's friend had a tick. And I was like, oh. And then I told my wife and she was like, I didn't hear it. And then a couple weeks later, it got worse and then everybody noticed it. But I was like the first person like, hey, you notice that thing? And they're like, no, because you can't read the room, right? Like martial arts, you have to be able to read people and you can't read them if you have an ego, because if you read them with your ego, you're going to read them wrong. So as a martial artist, you have to be able to watch the teacher, make that clay pot, and not try to go, oh, I would do it better this way. I would do it better that way.
Yes.
You have to go, height, And then you do it exactly that way. And only later do you find out, oh, the reason why I built it that way is because later on, this is a thing. And if I do it with this trowel, and that thing won't be there. Oh, I see. But you have to have faith in the teacher so that you have to learn to let go of your ego.
Yeah, you have to, for lack of a better word, follow your teacher blindly.
Yes.
Almost. So Furia Sensei would tell us a story about the great Saldini, who was a master magician. And if you wanted to be his student, he would have an interview where you would show your skill. And then if Saldini started to criticize you, you're in. But then if he complimented you and said, oh yeah, you're doing very, very good, practice harder, no, you lost your chance to become his disciple.
His witchcraft apprentice.
Yeah, witchcraft apprentice. So basically, if the teacher cares about you enough to criticize you, you're a student. But if he goes, oh, that's nice, and just walks away, he doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about making you better.
So Sensei, both of you, we've been talking about like training from the mindset of the beginner, but is there a separate way to look at this? As what is the value of the beginner, getting beginners into the dojo? What does the beginner contribute, like individually or structurally?
Well, I mean, money and body, right?
Money
like,
and bodies.
You know, like, and the longevity of Aikido. But, you know, every person is sacrificial. And then that's the thing that sucks about everything that you do. You're a doctor, you come out of medical school, those first few hundred patients you treat, did probably a bad job. You're going to have to, they're sacrificial. As an Aikido teacher, the first 2,000-3,000 people you teach, probably taught them wrong. Sacrificial. But then you got to live and learn. You know, and so for beginners, the hardest part in the ego stage is to not take things personally. Oh, the sensei said this thing. Oh, the sensei talked to Bill more than they talked to me. I counted. It was 8 minutes with Bill and only 2 minutes with me. Like you're making everything personal. Nothing is personal. That's what I told my son the other day. I scolded him about something, and I go, "Don't take this personal. Understand why this is wrong and why you need to be better. Don't take it personal. The worst thing you do is take it personal." But then, you know, the teacher scolds you, your foot, you know, Furia Sensei's famous one, your left foot, your other left foot. Oh, you should just quit.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's your ego because your ego already sets you up for failure by going, I could probably be black belt in 1 year, teaching classes in 2. You know, I'm going to ask that girl out at the record store. I'm going to be, and then when it doesn't happen, it all falls apart and you go, I should probably quit. So you can't take it personal. You can't make it about you.
I guess it all boils down to, as a beginner, what are your expectations? Like, you just highlighted someone who has these very kind of unrealistic expectations of becoming a great Aikidoist in, 2 years? By the 3rd year, he gets the girl?
Well, that's why I wonder if you and I should not talk about how many years it took to make black belt. Because then they go, oh, Watanabe Shihan got black belt in 2 years? Okay, that's my metric. So I should be black belt in 2 years. That means I spent, and then they calculate backwards. I'm at this rank for this many days and that thing, and they okay, that's how I become black belt in 2 years. And then they don't. Because once they tell me, I go, oh, no. I'll hold you. Even if you did, I would still hold you out 2 more years.
Really? They would say to you, I want to get black belt in 2 years?
Dude, this student the other day said, the name board's wrong on the Nafudakake. I'm actually Nikyu. And then I went, oh, I'm sorry. I'll let them know. And then my mind you're going to sit on Nikyu probably for another year or 2 because of that. Because his ego had to be at Nikyu. Right? And maybe the reason why it took me 3.5 years is that Furia Sensei promoted me to Gokyu twice, EQ twice. And so you sat at those ranks for a longer amount of time. But when someone talks to me about rank, not that they shouldn't talk to me about rank, but if they talk to me in a demanding way about rank, I'm going to hold them out.
Yeah, I mean, it's different. Like in America, what did they say? The squeaky wheel gets the grease. So you have to mention something. But in Japan, they depend on the compassion of the senior to recognize their effort, and they work and work and work. And ideally at the perfect time, boom, they get that promotion. That's the ideal world when people's timing and everything is like synced together. But of course, like it doesn't work all the time.
So is it possible in traditional martial arts to develop positive assertiveness without becoming egotistical?
No.
By positive assertiveness, like what, for example? Because I'm not a positively assertive person as a Japanese person. I just practice and I hope for the best kind of thing.
No, I'm just thinking about outside the dojo. Like I think a lot of times assertiveness allows people to solve problems. Often people will look and say, oh, someone else will solve the problem.
Well, Japanese training is supposed to be that the senior solves your problem. So they go, oh, I noticed that Bill hasn't been promoted to Shodan yet. Excuse me, Sensei. What are we going to do with Bill over here? What do you mean? Oh, he's been here this long. He should be Shodan by now. What do you mean he's not Shodan? Oh, we should give it to them. Right? But like the senior is supposed to advocate on your behalf. If you advocate on your own behalf, you showed your hand.
Yeah, maybe I realized maybe I was describing that incorrectly. I don't necessarily mean assertive as to the person themselves. I mean, just to learn the trait of like jumping in, solving a problem. Like, because in real life, people watch and they think other people are going to take care of their own stuff, and it doesn't happen.
If you jump in, and this happens all the time in the dojo, you jump in, and then you jumped in with the wrong solution, and then you made it worse. So that you're supposed to you're only supposed to usurp the teacher when you can beat the teacher. So if the teacher says, write this essay like this. And then you go, okay. And then you go home and you write it a different way. The teacher reads it and goes, you didn't use my method. Wrong. Or the teacher reads it and goes, oh my God, this is so good. Wow, this person's better than me. But if you're not better than them, you just showed your hand. You showed your ego. So like in Japan, you're not supposed to advocate. They go, when will I be getting sandan? The teacher will go, what? Never. Because you showed your hand.
Yeah, it's too self-serving.
Yeah. But you're supposed to, so this is the way it would go. Like you would cry to me about it. I don't know. I think the teacher doesn't like me because he didn't give me shodan. And I go, oh. And then I go to Ken and I go, what are we doing with Bill? And you go, what do you mean? And then we Ken and I talk about it as almost equals. And then he goes, you know what? I didn't know that he wasn't ranked. I will take care of it. Or he goes, you know what that dude did? And then I go, oh, that's why that person's not getting promoted. And then later on I talk to you and I go, when you scratched his car, why did you paint it pink instead of white again? And you go, I just thought pink was better. That's probably why you're not getting a shodan. And then you go, oh, and then you learn. But you cannot demand it outright. It will show your ego, and then it will knock you down a couple of steps because you asked for it.
Yeah. Well, I understand it in connection with rank, and that makes a lot of sense. I wasn't even thinking of assertiveness as self-actualization or self-advocacy. I was just thinking in terms of like being the kind of person in life that will just do things as opposed to like waiting to be told how to do them.
I know, but you have to be better than the teacher. So if you go do it, I can't go, wait, what's going on with this?
Right.
Like my son tried to beat me the other day, right? So I said, hey, you got to come up here and help me move this stuff. And he's sitting in the car. The car's on, the AC's going, and the keys are in the ignition. So he jumps out, tries to do it before me. We carry it all down the thing, and I go down this mountain. I go, hey,
the car's still on.
Is the key still in the car? Yeah. Running? Yeah. With air conditioning? Yeah, because I thought I go, dude, someone could have stole our car. And I go, oh my God. And he got all bummed. But it's just like he went in the wrong direction. Like he thought that having the car running with the AC going would make me happy and then he could beat me. But he didn't realize like, oh shoot, someone could have stole our car. So see, like, it's okay to be assertive and do things ahead of time, but you have to be better than what the expectation is, right? If you train at home, do all this stuff, and then you come for the Shodan exam, you go, wow, this person's good. Or you come and do the Shodan exam and you start doing your karate, you go, what is that? You go, oh, it's martial arts. I'm just showing this. And then see, like, that shows your ego.
I mean, you could say there's a wrong time to do the right thing, and there's a correct time to do the right thing. And martial arts training is designed to make you become the person that does the right thing at the right time, at the right moment. And also, even if you do the wrong thing, how to do the wrong thing in the correct way. There's tons of ways to make mistakes in the dojo, but there's also a corresponding way to make it right.
Yeah. Like I was at dinner once or lunch with Sensei and a visitor. And then Sensei, the visitor, the Sensei's going to try to pay. So the visitor's sitting there. We're in a Chinese restaurant. And then Sensei goes, get the check. Real under his breath, right? Get the check. And then in a Chinese restaurant, you go, excuse me. And you just, excuse me. And then Sensei, like this. And then the guy, like, he tried to pay and Sensei said, oh, no hasukashi. And they just, like, both laughed about it. But, like, Sensei could do that too. Why does he need me to stand up right then and there and go, excuse me, check, please? He needed me to be quiet and on the down low while he talked to the guy. I get the bill and then we pay it on the down low. So see how, like, being assertive or thinking you know what to do, there's a right way or there's a correct way to do it at the right time.
And I would say that you learned a lesson from that incident.
Yeah,
correct?
Because they both laughed in my face.
But, some other people, if they had an ego, they'll be like, oh, they're making fun of me. And the lesson would be completely lost on them that, oh, Sensei wanted me to be subtle so he could pay for it secretly. So the guests would be like, oh my God, it's paid for? Oh, like he gave his enemy no chance to attack, which is to pay. And essentially that was a battle right there was he a martial artist too?
Yeah.
He was, I guess so. It was a battle between martial artists, except no blood was spilled, just money was spent. But in a way that there was no recourse for the other person to be, I pretend to bring out my wallet just to save face.
Yeah, and a lot of times when you try to go ahead of the teacher, you're trying to show the teacher up or buy their affections. And then you go, nah, that's not what I want. I wanted this. And then, oh, sorry. And then lots of times, even if you're right, the teacher will go, oh, this person's trying to influence me, buy me. I'll just tell them wrong.
Your intention has to be pure because a good teacher can read your intention. They'll be like, that's correct, but ultimately incorrect.
But isn't it part of being a beginner in anything that you're going to make iterative mistakes over and over and over and over again?
Yeah, but that's why the second step is thinking about your ego. Why did I do that? Oh, I only bought the sensei the steak because I was trying to suck up to him. Oh, yeah. I got to stop doing that. I have to, not be that type of person. But most times the teacher goes, steak? I'm in. And then he lets you buy them a steak. And then every time they want steak, they go, hey, Bill, would you like to go to dinner? And Bill takes me to steak. And, Ken takes me to sushi. And then order whatever you want. So I say, oh, no, I don't. I'm not that hungry today. I'm eating all this food. So that's the hard part. It's like your intention, your ego, those things have to be in check. They have to be pure.
And I tell people now, before I was like, what's wrong with you? Now I tell them it's okay to make a mistake. You can't be ashamed of making a mistake because some of this stuff is really sophisticated. Most people aren't used to moving their hand and their feet at the same time, in complete synchronization. So it takes a long time to use your body as one unit against doing these techniques. So you're going to make 1,000 mistakes, 10,000 mistakes or more, depending on how thoughtful you are and how much you reflect on your training. Not reflect on like, oh, how this person threw me down hard, or how, oh, this person yelled at me. Like, really like self-assess your movement or whatever. Like, you just have to take yourself out of the equation. It's like a math equation. Okay? There's no interpretation.
Yeah. And then like you learn to be less egotistical, right? And then from there, you try to find ways to become better that don't require the teacher. But then the thing that because you checked your ego, the things that you find or create to make yourself better don't end up being the wrong thing. Like one student, to not drop the tip in the cut, he would cut in the backyard where his mother would put up the laundry, so that clothesline would prevent him from dropping the tip. And then that helped teach him how to not drop the tip. But the wrong thing would have been to like use a barbell, and then the barbell's got this thing, and it just didn't work. But then you thought it worked, and then the teacher looks at you and goes, "What did you do?" They talk about in Harrigel's book, The Zen and the Art of Archery. He goes away for the weekend. Harrigel goes away for the weekend and shoots the bow and figures out how to shoot it. He comes back and he shoots it all proud of himself. And then the archery teacher looks at him and then takes the bow away and kicks him out. And then he's like kicked out for like 2 weeks, 2 months or something like that. And then they let him come back. And then the teacher said, "Don't try to trick me ever again." You're like, "Oh, sorry," because he figured out how to shoot it in a way that was accurate or whatever, but not the proper way.
He tried to find a hack. He tried to circumvent the training part to get to the finish line,
right,
to the result.
You got to put in 10,000 reps, and he found a way to get to 10,000 reps without doing the 10,000 reps.
Yeah, but in the 10,000 reps, there's like wisdom that you gain in the 10,000. Like, it marinates in your body.
Yeah,
soaks into your body. It becomes you.
And and a really good teacher can read you and go, "Oh, I saw what you did," and then cuts you down. But then you have to come up with a hack, a cheat, a shortcut that benefits you.
Yes.
That the teacher can't figure out. What did he do? He cut his hair? There's something. And then you've outfoxed the teacher. But that's the thing. Most people today are just like, "Oh, I'm trying to get better at Aikido. I'm going to do Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Oh, I'm going to try to become a better swordsman. I'm going to go lift weights." Like, they're doing the wrong things, right? And so the second step is that you have to find things that are correct. Correct's not the right word. That are
proper,
that kind of coincide your training, even though you can't go to the dojo.
Yeah, they don't create, what's that called? Like branches where like starts to become something else completely.
Yeah.
It's still on the main line of practice. You're just, what would the word be? You're just enhancing it. You're not changing it.
In kids class, Mike does this thing when he does the wrist stretches for the kids where he goes, scoop your hand, grab the back of your hand, and then to do the Kotegaeshi wrist stretch. I saw someone a couple years later doing the warm-up in regular class using that same analogy, right? And they go, "No, that's incorrect." But Mike needed that to help the children in the kids' class figure out how to get to the back of their hand. So he says, scoop, grab the back of your hand. But then what we find out is that later on it becomes the way.
Yes.
And then no one knows where it came from because no one was paying attention. It just crept in and became the way. Like, I asked you and Mark, Fru Sensei was, we shake our wrists out, palms up, palms down, side to side before we do the wrist stretches. And then I asked Mark, "Hey, is that something Sensei did?" where did it come from? He goes, no, Sensei told me to do it. And then I asked you, and you said, oh, yeah, Sensei told me to do it. And I go, oh, I wonder why. But that you have to be careful that it didn't come in because of some nuance that you created.
Yes.
Like the one that I was talking to you about the other day is that when you're doing you touch the floor with your legs spread apart, standing up, and then when you come up, lots of people hit the hakama. And I go, I wonder where that came from. Is that a Furuya Sensei thing? Did he get it from someone? Did someone before us that taught us give us that nuance? Where did it come from? But that's the thing, is that we have to be careful that we don't accidentally create a branch which ruins the next generation of Aikido. Like, we're going to do Aikido blindfolded. We're going to do Aikido to swing dance music. And then it becomes the way.
Yeah, you never know what tiny little thing you introduce can just create something that goes out of control. I mean, I guess you can see that in Aikido today, even.
Yeah, all martial arts.
Yeah, all martial arts, things that are not proper. Like, God, I would never do that.
Yeah, you think, how did the thing that you create to make yourself, to give yourself the edge and make yourself better, has to enhance you and not hurt you.
Yes.
And then, like, remember when I wrote that whole thing up on how to pass the black belt test, and then people asked me for it, and then they told Sensei, I got David's notes, and then Sensei took them away. You can't have those, because those people would just rely on the notes.
They would never rely on their own power and their own ability.
Their blood, sweat, and tears.
The blood, sweat, and tears. Like, they don't really earn it. It's like someone gave them this is the code, I
have a question. You hear in traditional martial arts teachers, senior teachers, talking about the needing to preserve your beginner's mind late into your training or forever. Other than suppression of ego, what is the beginner's mind when these people are referring to it?
In the beginner's mind, it's vast. Like they say, the beginner's mind. I'm not sure if the correct quote is in the mind of the expert, there's only one way, but in the mind of the beginner, there's many ways, or something like that. But the mind of the beginner can see all these different things. You just can't do them. Mm-hmm. But they have this non-ego-ness about them because they just want to learn it. They love it. Oh my God, I love Aikido. I just want to learn it. What did you do? How did you do it? Oh my God. You have that enthusiasm. As in, you get older, you get jaded, and you go, there's only one way, and there is only one God in Aikido, and Tissier is his name.
So it's like rigidity versus flexibility in a way.
Yeah, but that's like a political thing, though, isn't it? Like,
no,
almost
but people,
cult-like thing. Like, like Tissier is the only real Aikidoist, or whatever they say about
people. Or yeah, they say that about Saito Sensei and stuff. But no, but it's as a beginner, you're enthusiastic.
Yeah,
you're
hungry.
Hungry. You're a sponge, soaking it all up. Tell me more. You read. Furuya Sensei talks about a book in class. You run home and buy it and read it. Like, that's that beginner's mind, that there's so many possibilities. Oh my gosh, it's wonderful, as opposed to the jaded expert's mind who is only guarding their ego now because they're just guarding their rank and their seat.
So how does someone who's broken through the beginning couple years stay in the beginner's mind? Other than ego suppression, how does one?
Well, in the old days, they just beat your butt. So they're like, ugh.
You always felt like a beginner.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and it seems like the more you know, the more you realize how much you don't know. Like, there's this whole next step. Like, you climb this mountain, you go, oh, there's another mountain? Okay. But sometimes, like, when you're so self-satisfied, you climb that mountain and you go, I'm on top of the mountain. You don't see the higher mountain because you yourself mentally, you're done.
You can't go on.
You can't go on. So beginner's mind is like, climbing this mountain, you see, oh, there's other mountains. Oh, shoot. Like, you can see other mountains from that high vantage point.
But, that's the difficulty in suppressing your ego as a teacher or as a student, is that if you think you can't learn, then you're in trouble, right? And
If you think that you are unable to,
no, I got it.
oh, okay,
I got it. And that, I can't tell you how many people will talk to me that are Aikido teachers will say, well, you and me, we know how to teach people. And I go, I don't know how to teach nobody, man. I am not anywhere near that level. But I can't tell you how many people come to me and are like, me and you are really great Aikido teachers. Or, oh, I did this and I'm a great Aikido teacher. And I just go, what?
Yeah, as soon as you say, I am the great, that's it.
Well, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. You haven't created anybody good, so I can't. What's your metric for being good? Because you have a lot of students. A lot of people have a lot of students, right? But like, to be really effective and good, and it's like you got to have that level of hunger, that beginner's mind that makes you want to learn more. I need to find out how to teach this.
Yes.
Whatever this is.
It's just the next step in your training is you're trying to figure out how to disseminate this stuff
effectively. I don't know if this carries over into martial arts, but I know like in my work as a lawyer or an executive in a company, and again, I don't think I'm great at this, but like if you come into this situation and think you just have the answer, you won't listen to the other people. I think that's similar to like if you keep the beginner's mind in martial arts training, you're always able to learn something from every instructional experience. Whereas like in business, I think a lot of times like what I hear a lot that just like I start to like literally tune out when the person starts telling me all the things that they've done before they're about to tell me how to do whatever we're doing. And then if you get competing people doing that, like absolutely nothing gets done other than like saying, and so I think what you're saying makes total sense to me, which is listening outside the dojo is similar to observing and copying inside the dojo.
But that's the thing is that you said you tuned out.
Right, and I didn't listen. I was bad too.
But your beginner's mind should be like, tell me more.
Right, exactly.
And then that person puts their foot in their mouth and you go, gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, I don't necessarily think I do a good job. I'm just saying like I notice like that what you're describing outside the dojo kind of translates to being like collecting all the facts, hearing the positions, understanding. And inside the dojo, you listen to the teacher, you observe your partner, you look at the whole room, you don't get rolled on or hit.
And so you're trying to become a beginner's trying to become a good student. That's their job as a beginner, is to try to become a good student in any which way, form. And everyone's different. Some people got physical skills problems. Some people got mental skills problems, and that you have to realize like, I'm getting angry. Okay, I got to work on that. I can't really move in deep. Maybe I'm not listening. Maybe the teacher's not doing it right or whatever. You have to figure out what the problem is.
Right.
Right. So really being a beginner is like trying to teach yourself to be a good student. And the reason why I say teach yourself is that the teacher can't make you or teach you to be a good student.
It's your own responsibility.
Yeah, you have to be very honest with how you assess yourself. Like Sensei just said, I can't eating me deeply enough. You just practice eating me until you can. I get mad all the time. Well, maybe it's something then my outside life. Like maybe I'm just mad all the time. Type of thing. Like you don't know.
Do you think beginners get discouraged by seeing how long the road is?
Some can.
It's too hard.
Or some of it, you just can't. I don't have time for this.
Right.
Right. So the road seems, I don't have time for this.
Just impossible.
Well, but see, the reason why it's impossible, you don't have time for this, is because you have an ego about it. Just show up and have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Show up and have fun, and then the more you show up, the better you'll get. And then one day, like, oh my gosh, I got this handful of skills.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I used to go swing dancing a lot.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then I didn't know anything. I would walk in, and I would be like, everybody knows everybody knows what they're doing. Oh my God, I'm gonna feel so stupid out there. And then as I got skill, I was like, looked around, I was like, oh my God, like 90% of these people do not know what they're doing. And there's the 20% who are like experts, who are competitors or who dance regularly, who are like nice, normal people who aren't weirdos, things like that. And I was like, this is just like Aikido. I came into Aikido thinking everybody knows how to do everything. And then when I look at a dojo, I'm like, God, like no one knows what they're doing. Or like, you could tell who's a senior, who's the beginner, hopefully you can tell who the teacher is in the dojo, sometimes you can't. They're just like a regular student. But yeah, it's just.
Well, you're trying to develop your eye as a student.
Yes.
To where, what you talked about in the beginning about taste. They could go, this is okay. This is what I'm looking for. Oh, what? How come he didn't do that? Oh, he cheated his footwork. You're trying to catch that. You look at a piece of paper. How many of the words can you really see? But the more you stare at it, the more words just pop out at you. And then you look and you go, oh, the teacher cheated their footwork. But then usually don't cheat. Oh, the teacher must be injured. And then you're able to figure out like, oh, the teacher's injured. All because you didn't go, what is that? He sucks now. You went, he's usually pretty good. Oh, maybe he's injured. Maybe he's becoming discouraged and then giving up. Oh, I should take the sensei to lunch because looks like he's getting discouraged. And you go, oh. But then you have to develop that discernment as a student.
Yeah, and like most people aren't born with taste, but taste and discernment come with experience. Like, they'll taco tacos, those are real tacos. And you go, no, that's not. These tacos are real tacos. Then you go, oh no, these tacos from Mexico City, those are real tacos. Mm-hmm. But then, they're actually all tacos, Sometimes authenticity is not the best thing that you want. Sometimes you just want like a regular old taco from Taco Bell. Of course, like, Aikido is different than just, Del Taco and like tacos from Mexico City. But still, you have to develop this sense of, you have to go what you like, what you don't like, but what is also proper and what is also improper, what's genuine and what's fake. What is Aikido and what is like some, like Aikido doesn't have foot sweeps. But there's nothing wrong with using foot sweeps in a fight, so.
So, one of the things I think you were saying, Sensei, which as I was thinking about it, is that if you have a beginner's mind and you listen and you take in and you take in and you go to practice, like that primes the pump for like epiphany or realization.
Yeah, they call it being a student of the game. Yeah, you have that. You go, oh, well, some of that comes from having a question. Like you said, you go, is this going to really work? So you go, is that going to work? And then you think about it, and you think about it, and you think about it, and you're running scenarios in your head, and then the teacher says or does something, and you go, oh.
And you make the connection.
Yeah. And then you have the epiphany. I see, said the blind man. And then you go, and then you're better off for it. But if you just go, and if you just dismiss it, that's not very good, and just dismiss it, you missed the opportunity to learn.
Yeah. That's just like quitting. You could be super talented in Aikido, but if you quit after 2 months, boom, that's it. We could be just an average person who does Aikido for like 30, 40 years and become this fantastic Aikidoist from the training, Your only talent is that you persevere. That's your only superpower is you do not give up. And I guess that is the one of the main skills of the beginner is to not give up. Not give up.
Especially when it's not comfortable, it's too hard, it's too boring. Like I write my weekly blog. I can't tell you how many times in that course of that 5 hours I go, I don't think I can finish this thing. I'm not going to make it. And then I go, no, just keep going. No. And then you just go, oh, I made it through. And to have that perseverance. Or like the other day I had this patient and I was really tired and she said something like really mean to me. And I was like, don't get upset. You got to push through. You got to finish this treatment and all this stuff. And like, you have to have that temperament. in Aikido, to learn to be a good beginner, because there's always going to be something that's uncomfortable, unsightly, difficult, and then you just go, well, I'm out of here.
Right. Well, you said something interesting in the beginning of the very opening, and you said people today are very recognition focused or rank focused or whatever it is. And I was thinking, like, one way of looking at that is the beginner's mind is someone that puts aside expectations.
Yes, and so a lot of people like talking about that they hate the 8th place trophy or the trophy for participating, but that's the thing which sets people up to be desensitized to trying. Mm-hmm. You go, oh, I'll try it, and then we're like, oh, I'm not gonna try. I look stupid,
right?
Because we're used to being last or second. You go, I don't want to try, but those participation trophies give kids an easy. It takes away the burden of achievement, and so they're 8 years old and they don't hit home runs, and and then the coach yells at them because they lost the game. How do you think they're going to feel about themselves when it comes time to try something different like Aikido?
Bad.
But if their coaches was like, "You guys did a good job. Hey, Jimmy, it was great how you dropped the fly ball, but then you didn't give up and you grabbed it and you threw it in. I mean, they could have scored 5 runs, but they only scored 2. Good job." And then you go, "Oh, yeah, I did do a good job. I didn't give up." And then later on, when they go to do Aikido, someone throws them down. They don't just go, "Well, I got to quit now."
Yeah. I was thinking about another thing too, which is, I know you and I have both spoken about this before, is that if you look at your training against the person who never trains, even the person who trains once a week, 4 times a month, compared to the person who never, ever trains. So if you train with consistency to whatever your capability is in your time, like sometimes I think we have a false sense of like how great everybody is out in the real world. Like most people don't do anything. They just kind of do their job or whatever. But if you train 2 days a week forever, like you're going to be in maybe not the 1%, but maybe the top 10%. So it seems to me like the other thing about when I say no expectation is do your best. And even if you do train whatever that level is, as long as your mind is in it, you're going to get benefit.
Yeah, but most people can't see the benefit that far away. If I put money in the bank today, in 10 years, compound interest will double that money, and then
no one has the patience for that.
Yeah, they go, what?
Yeah.
That Ferrari is a now purchase.
I need that $200,000 today.
Yeah, yeah. I don't need $500,000 in 10 years. I need that Ferrari now.
Yeah.
And that. They have the social media creates this expectation where everybody hits home runs, gets the girl, is dating that, handsome Korean guy and all this stuff. And they think, oh, this world is everyone is doing so much better than me. But then when you peel that back, you go, oh, that's a filter.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a lie. Oh, that's just, they only showed you the good stuff.
My girlfriend told me, because she's a trainer, and she said, like, on Instagram, a lot of the women, like, they'll do photos a certain way to make their physique look great. She told me this very interesting story about this one woman who wanted to expose the bad thinking that these kinds of things create. So the woman did 2 photos, like one of herself posing and one not. And, like, her body looked completely different. And I think, like, if we let ourselves, get immersed into social media or the, as you call it, filters, we don't really know what reality is. And so one of the benefits of training is it kind of takes you away from judging at any given moment, or you can't judge. Well, you guys are talking about a different kind of judgment earlier, but
the training is reality.
Right.
A person is grabbing you, trying to hit you, pushing you. You're sweating. You're breathing hard. That's reality.
Right. Every time.
Yeah. You're on Instagram looking at, for the 4 seconds that you look at every person's post. Oh my God, they're so great. But in Aikido class, it's real. Someone grabbed you,
right, or hit you,
or pushed you, or scolded you.
So Ken Sensei, we've really been kind of circling around sort of one of the main challenges for beginners, which is how to manage our egos. And we talked about maintaining the beginner's mind all through training through your whole career. So in a way, this is probably the start of a series we're going to do on challenges and benefits of being a beginner. What would both of you, having being senior teachers in Dojo Cho, like having gone through all this and where you are now, What would be like the sort of the on ego would be your parting message for a student that's just starting listening to this podcast or thinking about starting listening to this podcast?
I think a lot of people think you have to come in without an ego, but then even the Buddha acknowledged that we all have egos.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the training is what makes your ego less, or you recognize that, oh, I'm thinking with my ego, I'm not thinking in a pure-hearted way. So, I mean, honestly, it's impossible to get rid of your ego, because even I still think, why are we doing this, all the time? Then I realize, you know what, like, I don't say that because that's my own lack of knowledge, or maybe I want to seem smart. That's me trying to say something, and that has no place in training. So, other than that, like...
I actually think it's a really good point, which is the ego is an ongoing opponent, right?
Because basically, like in the Aikido, sometimes I tell the students, you're not fighting against your opponent. You're fighting against your own BS.
Right.
You got to cut down your BS or recognize what your BS is and deal with it. And then your movement will become pure.
You have to have a certain level of ego to even try.
Right.
Or else if you don't have the ego, then you're like, I don't even think I can make it.
Right. You can't do anything.
Right. So it's that old Henry Ford quote, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Right. And so you have to have a certain, because the ego is there to keep you safe. Right. Not so you don't get hurt, you don't get embarrassed. The ego goes, hey, don't say that. Oh, hey, remember to say something about how you won the Heisman. Oh yeah, everybody. By the way, if I didn't tell you the 30th time, I won the Heisman. Right. And so the ego, you need an ego, but it's as Watanabe Shihan was talking about, the ego has to be in check. And then you have to, like all tools, it must be used in the right way.
I think Sensei, that's a really good wrap up. But I think it also helps us to look forward to ongoing discussion and podcasts that we'll have with beginners and beginner's mind.
Well, I think that's a good place to stop. Thank you for watching or listening, and don't forget to like or subscribe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.